Welcome back to Revive Life. I'm naturopathic Dr. Joelle, and we are now in the kitchen cooking with Alea Cardarelli. Hi. And so thank you so much for joining us. We actually kind of have a funny story of how we met.
We do.
Yeah, and we're good friends now.
Hello, it's all good.
Yeah, so, but I was really interested in what you were doing in your whole experience. So can you tell us a little bit about what got you into cooking?
Oh, well, what got me into cooking? I love to cook, for one thing. It's a bit of a hobby, but I'd been sick for quite a long time, and last year I decided to invest some time and resources in figuring out why I wasn't feeling that well, and I went to see some naturopaths because the traditional medicine wasn't giving me enough detailed answers that I was looking for. And I found out that I had a lot of food intolerances.
Okay, so hence needing food.
Exactly.
That fit the bill. So we're going to be focused on allergy foods and gluten-free foods. But the great thing about you is not only are you going through your experience, but you're also wanting to share with people.
Exactly.
So can you tell us about your blog?
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it started out last year as a way to just keep my recipes all in one spot. Every time I made something, I'd soon forget what I put into it because, as you can see here, there's about a bajillion different ingredients. So what I did is I started taking pictures and recording what I made, and it just kind of snowballed, and now I have a bunch of people that like to check in and see what I'm making, and I make sure that my baked goods are gluten-free and vegan to accommodate as many allergy types as I can.
Okay, that's fabulous. So it's really a resource now for people. And as I understand, if people actually, you know, some people are intimidated by cooking. So if they're at that spot, what can they do?
There's a lot of different things that you can do when you're starting out, especially for gluten-free cooking. The biggest thing I would suggest you do is, instead of looking at all these really scary flours and thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to spend all this money, what am I going to do? Start out with one all-purpose baking mix. Pamela's and Judy's Magic Mixes, both are very good.
Okay.
They're all-purpose.
And they're available at any health food
Yes.
store? Okay, great.
They're
so that's
both available
easy.
at any health food store, and you can use them as your flour supplement as you work your way around for your baking needs.
Okay, so we're going to do a little shopping list. We get these mixes as a base, and then what would be 2 or 3 other ingredients that you'd need in your shopping cart?
Okay, well, if you're going to be cooking gluten-free, one of the important things you need to have is this weird ingredient called xanthan gum. It's a white powder, and basically it substitutes the binding action of gluten, so that it'll hold your baked goods together, and when it rises, they'll stay risen.
Okay, so yes, that would be important.
Yes.
Okay, and as I understand, you also have cooking classes.
Yes.
And what would people learn in your cooking classes?
Well, I found that when I was learning how to cook gluten-free, it would have been great to just know the ins and outs. So I have quick little cooking classes. People come over. We have some recipes. Everybody gets to make their own and learn how to make the staples like bread and cookies and a few baked goods. And we have a lot of fun, and it's a great bonding experience for people who have similar digestive problems to meet others.
That's important, a support network.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's show the viewers a couple of your wonderful recipes.
Sure.
So what are we cooking today?
Okay, so today we're going to be making almond bread. Okay. It's very simple, no yeast bread, which makes life a lot easier.
Yes.
What we're going to be doing is we're going to be mixing the wet ingredients first. This is because we're going to have some binding agents that need to gel together. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Dr. Joel, is to get the 4 tablespoons of flax.
Okay, just pour it in the bowl.
Just dump it in there. Okay. We're going to have 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
And we have 7 tablespoons of almond milk.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you, when you put it in there, just to give it a quick, vigorous stir to take out all the lumps.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
I know it's starting to smell nice. Personally, I actually don't use very much xanthan gum in my own cooking. It doesn't make me feel very well, so I've been trying to find out ways of working around that. We're going to be doing now the dry ingredients. So we have 1.5 cups of almond flour. You can get this at most local health food stores.
And I'm so interested in learning about this because one of the biggest challenges in working with any allergen is finding a great bread alternative.
Oh, I know. And for me, I'm also sensitive to carbohydrates, lucky me. So almond flour is great because it's very high in protein. We're going to put in some tapioca starch now. We have about a half a cup of tapioca starch.
Great.
These recipes are all on the blog, myrealfoodlife.com. So if you want to take a look, they're right there. Wonderful. Okay, and we have baking soda, teaspoon of baking soda, and some salt. I use sea salt because it's got more nutrients in it.
Okay.
And the important thing with gluten-free flours is to sift them. I just did a lazy sift, but you want to sift them as much as you can to create air pockets and lift, because gluten-free flour is actually a bit heavier than regular flour. Sorry about that.
Nope.
And so now what we're going to do is we're going to add the wet ingredients to the dry. This is why we did the wet ingredients first. We need time for the flax seed to swell and gel and absorb the wet ingredients so that when we mix them together, it'll hold well together. So go on ahead and pour that in.
Okay, wonderful. And of course, we can see nutritionally flaxseed really high in omega-3 fatty acids. Great for hair, skin, nails, getting you ready for the holidays.
Oh yeah, it's great stuff. And I find the special thing about flax, you may not know, is that it works as a great egg replacement and binding agent if you use it well.
Okay.
So we're just going to give it a quick stir, and you'll notice that it's a bit thick, which is all right. It's supposed to be thick. We're going to do this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And when it's done, we're going to pour this into, actually, Dr. Joel, would you mind looking underneath? Are you looking underneath there for the bread loaves?
Yes.
Okay. Grab that, just dump that out there.
Okay, there we go.
So now when you're mixing this together, you might find that it's a bit stiff. What we're going to do is we're going to add just a touch of water. Not too much, because if you add a lot of water, flax can make it gummy. So you just want enough to moisten it and make it decent. There we go.
And it really is, you can see that it's pulling apart.
It's getting,
has that elasticity to it.
Exactly. And so there you go. Between the almond flour and the flax, it's actually got a lot of natural binding ingredients, binding power to it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this out here and put it in our display.
Oh, that's beautiful. It'd be great for the holidays,
Oh,
too.
you know, it's so filling and wonderful. And almond flour has this naturally sweet taste to it. Just very light. It's lovely. And you're just going to put it in. It's a simple one bowl recipe. No yeast, no complicated stuff.
Love it.
No frustration, just a couple of ingredients. And it's quite low here, but it actually does rise.
Okay.
So we're going to put it in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes. And you'll know it's ready when the top's golden and it starts smelling wonderful. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is
so that's option one.
That's
and that'd be great for breakfast or throw it in your lunch.
Yes.
Yes, it'd be good for that too.
It's wonderful. It holds together really nicely, and unlike most gluten-free breads, it's actually got a very soft crumb to it. So it's quite enjoyable to eat, and it's really great with peanut butter and jams and stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is the tortilla recipe. Okay. And we're going to mix our dry ingredients first this time.
Need a bowl for
Grab a bowl.
Yep.
Okay, and then we'll get a second one and the sifter.
Okay.
All right.
Now, what about dairy? Because a lot of people are sensitive to dairy, so what would be a great alternative to dairy?
Now, dairy depends a lot on what you're making. We're just going to start off here with our 3/4 of a cup of brown rice. For most baked goods, your non-dairy milks are actually a pretty decent substitution. So you're looking at like hemp milk, almond milk, rice milk, and even soy milk if you can tolerate soy. However, I would suggest that you also make sure to put in about a teaspoon or so of apple cider vinegar to help it to rise, because milk has a chemical reaction in it that causes things to rise, and without the additional acidity, you need the apple cider vinegar.
Okay, so that's a really good tip for everybody.
Yeah, and now we have xanthan gum and sea salt. So I'm going to be showing you how xanthan gum works as a binding agent. You're going to mix that all nicely together. Okay. We have a 1/4 cup of millet flour. Now, millet flour, you'll notice, is actually quite yellow. Adds a really nice flavor and color. And we're going to have a half a cup of amaranth flour, which is quite starchy and naturally sticky, so it's great for making tortillas.
And amaranth is also really high in iron. It has extra calcium, and it is really nutritious.
It's wonderful.
Really
and you know,
protein.
you can actually pop amaranth seeds.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they're really small, but you can put them in a skillet and pop them like popcorn.
Okay.
They have a really nice nutty flavor to them, and you can put all kinds of fun stuff. So,
Wonderful.
Dr. Joelle, I'll have you just pouring, actually, the wet ingredients into this bowl underneath.
Here. Okay,
yeah, okay, we'll have you pour
wonderful.
them in there.
So I am pouring in.
We have a cup of water.
Okay.
We have several tablespoons, 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, and several tablespoons of olive oil.
Okay.
So we're just going to give these guys a nice stir.
And this is a wonderful option for children because we are always challenged to find a bread alternative for children. This is easily packed in their lunch containers.
Absolutely.
And you can really fill it with anything.
Yes, it's great for, you know, if you want to just do a simple jam and nut butter or seed butter, or you can make a tortilla out of it and put in some grilled chicken and vegetables. It's great. Very, very, very versatile. So if you want to just add that right in.
Sure. So in 30 seconds, we're going to complete what we have here. So what would be the next step?
Okay, so what we're going to be doing is mixing it. You'll notice at the beginning it gets, it's very sticky. But xanthan gum, when you have it come into contact with water, actually stiffens the dough. See, now you're noticing it's getting pretty stiff.
It is, yes.
And then it starts getting elasticy.
And then it will end up looking like this?
Yes. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to get a couple of these out because they're already ready. We'll put these inside.
Great.
Okay, so these are your palm-sized balls of dough, and they're actually quite dry. They're nice and not sticky. If you find when you're making this, they're getting a little sticky, you would want to just take a little bit of starch, extra starch, any kind of starch, put it down, and then you're going to get your baking rolling pin and just roll it out really gently like this.
Okay.
Okay.
So in the end, it will look like one of these.
Yes.
And then you would toss it on the grill.
Yes. So what we have is we have a nice one like this, and if you continue rolling it out, they're going to look like these.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to pop one on the grill.
Wonderful.
Now, before you put them on the grill, I have a suggestion, and I really think your best bet is to just take a little bit of olive oil and gently brush it on top. And this is because it adds moisture to the cooking process. If you don't do this, it'll instead get a bit crunchy, which is fine if you want to make chips out of it. I make really great tortilla chips out of them.
Okay, that's a great
I brush them
option
with a little
too.
starch. As soon as they get hot, then I put a little pesto on them.
Oh, that sounds
quite nice,
amazing.
yes.
Great alternative to that other snack food.
Exactly. So these will be ready when the underside is golden and puffy. You can flip them over, and they turn out like this. And one of the really nice things about these wraps is that they stay bendy.
Wonderful. Well, Alea, thank you so much for cooking.
Thank
It's
you.
always fun. Leah's going to be back in the Ask the Expert segment, and we're going to be answering all of your questions on allergy and gluten-free cooking. So thank you so much, Alea. You're wonderful.